CIT 225 Network Security and Penetration Testing, and in chapter number 14 we are talking about mail vulnerabilities. Mail plays an important role in any organization. We have mail servers, mostly Microsoft Exchange servers. Now there are lots of reasons for that. One of the most important reason is that since it can easily be integrated with Microsoft Active Directory, so authentication is not an issue. And that's the widely acceptable platform these days in order to exchange emails. But when we talk about emails, there are certain vulnerabilities which we must be concerned about and take care of before it's open for public. So the objectives of this chapter is to define SMTP vulnerabilities. Now these are different protocols on an Exchange server. SMTP will be there for sure, always. Simple mail transfer protocol. And then we have outline IMAP vulnerabilities and explain the POP vulnerabilities. Now when we are setting up an Exchange server, we decide if we want to have POP, and the latest standard is POP3, and or we want to have an IMAP. The latest standard for that is IMAP 4. They identify some specific server application vulnerabilities and then list type of the email related attacks, and then we'll identify some specific browser based vulnerabilities, and we'll discuss how to protect the server or the setup from any kind of vulnerabilities. The main protocols which are supported by email systems is SMTP, POP, and IMAP. Now SMTP is just like a gateway which is storing all the emails in a queue. Even if the other party was not available, it would keep the email with itself and it would keep on trying unless and until the other party is up to receive the emails. If the other party is not up for a specific time period, the email would be sent back or returned back to the sender with the information that the user is not available or the mailbox of the end user is full. You usually receive this notification. Then we have IMAP and then POP. The difference between both of them is the same, that it would download the emails in POP. Not exactly the same. In POP it would download the emails as a client, as if you are using Microsoft Outlook. All the emails from the server would be downloaded on your computer, but it is very easy to edit the emails, add attachments, and then draft the emails using Microsoft Word in the background. IMAP provided the facility where you don't need to download the emails. They'll remain on the server. You'll just configure it on your mobile devices or at home computers, even if you are outside the organization, and you'll be able to exchange emails, read and delete. Now the only problem which people face sometimes, but the option is there if you want to delete the emails from the server or not. In Microsoft Exchange server, we have an option that if the mails are downloaded and deleted from the email client like Microsoft Exchange, Microsoft Outlook client on your PC, they'll be deleted from the server. So sometimes it happens that if the emails are deleted from the server and downloaded on Microsoft Outlook, if you'll open it in a web-based browser, you'll not see the emails there anymore. Whereas it's not the case with IMAP. IMAP just provides you a web interface through which, or through the application through which you can read the emails, draft them, reply, store, and all those other functions without deleting them. Simple mail transfer protocol transfer email messages from one server to another, from one client computer to a server. An email client using either POP or IMAP can recover the messages because it's there in the server itself. Now, if an account is deleted by mistake, there are features within Outlook to recover individual mailboxes or to recover the individual emails. Depends how you have configured it. Further, if you'll do the forensics analysis of POP folders in your computer, you'll be able to recover all emails which were there or which were deleted. SMTP uses the concept of spooling just like your printer spooler, which maintains queue of print requests, and one by one it would just process them in a sequence. SMTP uses the concept of spooling. SMTP stores the email messages in a buffer called the SMTP queue. As you can see in this picture, that we have a POP local net, and there is a group of people, an email is sent, and it would go to the SMTP local within the organization, and then SMTP would be sending it to the internet. Same goes for the other side, that the emails which are drafted by the people in a domain.com are sent to the SMTP server. It would keep it inside, and then that SMTP server would be sending emails out to the internet. So that's how it works. Now, simple mail transfer protocol: if the intended recipient of the email message is unavailable, server attempts to send the message later. That it would keep on trying for a specific period of time. End-to-end delivery is holding all messages in this pool until they can be delivered. But there is a time limit for that, and once it expires, the email is sent back to the sender that the recipient is not available. Now, the SMTP model: to deliver an email message, client computers must establish TCP connection with port 25 of the destination computer. That's a known port for mail communications, port 25, through which it communicates. If the destination computer is unavailable, server sends a single line text message to the client computer, or if the server accepts the message from the client, it will be sent details about the sender to the receiver of the email message. When you turn on the option read receipts or delivery receipts, you'll receive a confirmation once the other person would open an email or once the email is delivered to the recipient. Now, the people who are looking for vulnerabilities on the mail servers, they usually set these options up and then they send emails out to the users. Just to know that if the email is delivered, it means that the mailbox is active and the other person is checking the emails. If the email is opened, they can know that the person opened the email and they read it. The most important benefit is taken by the marketing companies when they are sending bulk emails to the users advertising their products. They'll know it easily that if the email that they have sent to the public, how many of them actually read the email or opened the email, and they can know if the email wasn't read and it was deleted directly. Now, if recipient exists at any of the destination mailboxes, server will copy the email message into the appropriate mailbox. Now, just like a database of users, for every individual there is a mailbox on an Exchange server. In that mailbox, all the related information of that user would be maintained, like all the emails which are received, sent, deleted, replied, and then distribution disk, and any other folders that you are creating within your mailbox. So all that information remains inside your own mailbox folders. If an email message cannot be delivered, an error report is returned to the client computer. If more email messages have been sent, client computer continues with the connection to the server. Now, the SMTP model usually have commands like hello, mail, then receipt, then the data, and then the resetting the connections, verification. EXPN is for the distribution lists, and to quit the message or to end the session. Now, known SMTP vulnerabilities are: hackers scan the internet for any incorrectly configured SMTP servers. That any server which is not configured well or where the patches has not been applied properly, they'll scan for those servers and then they'll attack it. The updates which are released for Exchange servers usually are called cumulative updates. We call them CU as well. So it's necessary to apply the patches on these Exchange servers as soon as they are available. Now, there are some secure ports and some default ports for mail communication. For example, port 25, which they are talking about, is a default port. It's not necessary that you will be configuring your server on port 25. You can configure it to any other secure port and then make sure that you have your firewall configured for that and the messaging gateway so that the emails are delivered to that SMTP server. Hackers can exploit the server in two ways. The attacker can send mail anonymously. If the relay is open for the emails, anyone from outside the organization would be able to send emails as anonymous to the inside users. Now, the users who will receive it within the organization, they might think that it's coming from our network, though it's not. It could be marketing things, it could be phishing emails, it could be anything related to the material which has nothing to do with your organization. The hackers can also send the SMTP server single email with the intention to reaching hundreds and thousands of or even millions of users. Because in organizations there are distribution lists. As in the educational institutions, we have distribution lists for students. We have distribution lists for staff, for faculty, for other departments, and so on. Those distribution lists have an alias. Alias is, for example, if you want to send an email to all students in the organization or in the educational institution, you'll write students at universityname.edu.sa, for example. If you want to send an email to all students in a computer major, you'll make an alias for them like computer.dcc at the university name or something. So you'll have to add all students to that alias so that if someone would send an email out to one alias, all students would receive it. Now, the benefit of that is that you don't need to write individual email addresses of all students. Considering if you have thousands of students, it would be very difficult to write email addresses in the 2CC or BCC category of an email. The second problem with typing in email addresses is if it goes outside the organization or someone captures the email having all recipient email addresses, all people who are the valid users of those email accounts, they'll start receiving spam emails because anyone who would capture those details would start sending spam emails to all those accounts because those accounts are the active accounts. That's why whenever we create aliases in order to send emails in bulk to the users, we usually keep it in BCC, which is blind carbon copy option of the email, so that if we are sending it, you don't get to see that it's actually going to which alias, so that no one could send emails out to that account. Second option that they have in Microsoft Exchange Server is that you can deny someone sending emails to your internal alias from outside the organization. So even if someone would get that alias and it would try to send an email out at that alias from outside the organization, they won't be able to send an email. So you must be a valid user of the same institution to send bulk emails using the alias accounts. Now, if a marketing company comes or a institution comes which are providing certifications and trainings for that, and they ask us to send an email out to all computer major students, all we need to do is find the alias for computer students and send an email out. So those aliases are used for marketing purposes as well. Hackers can send mail anonymously. Hackers can also send SMTP server a single email with the intention of reaching thousands and even millions of users. Hackers can use several commands to exploit the SMTP servers. Now they are usually targeting these huge organizations which are maintaining huge databases of the users, like Amazon, eBay. They have email addresses of millions of users who are subscribed to their services. Now if someone would get hold of the users who are interested in specific categories, they'll start sending emails out of the marketing or anything related to them. Thus it's a problem for the end users and a bad name for the company from where the email accounts or other things were leaked out. Now the attacks or the vulnerabilities, just like in any other service, is a buffer overflow, exhausting the resources of a server. Hacker may try to overflow the buffer of the user system. A very long username, password, or a file name is sent to the server using the hello, mail, or the received commands, so that once it's processed, the server would be too slow in trying to resolve those things, thus resulting in a buffer overflow. Backdoor entry permits the hacker to take complete control of the mail system. Viz commands can open a backdoor on an Exchange server. Now scanning the email servers, for example EXPN and verify, EXPN is for the distribution list, may allow the attacker to acquire information from an email server. Spamming email servers is attacker sends a single email message to a large number of recipients. Hacker attempts to attack a mail server by sending a large number of received commands to it. Now just like if someone is sending email out with a lookalike page that click here to change your password, or an email is coming from a system administrator faking an email that your account has been compromised or unsuccessful attempts were noticed in the past 24 hours, so click here to change the password. Once you'll click on it, it will take you to another page where you'll be able to enter the username and password, and of course you'll enter your actual username and password, and that information is captured by the hacker, whoever has sent you that link. Further, there are backlinks or the exploit files which are usually sent to the remote computers. Once you will access the page, it would be automatically downloaded on your computer, and then they'll try to gain access to your machine remotely without your knowledge. Now spamming email servers, attacker sends an email message to a large number of recipients and attempt to attack a mail server by sending large number of recipient or received commands. Spamming emails may result in any of the following. For example, you can have a denial of service where the services would be crippled down and the resources would be overutilized on a server, thus it won't be reachable to the users. User account attack, looking for valid email accounts which are there in any mail servers so that they can target them and then use the active accounts as the sender of the email, claiming that it's coming, for example, from the head of the department, so everyone would open it. Then spam relay attack, emailing all users, whoever is there in the organization, any kind of marketing or things related to that. Sending corrupt mail command, hacking the mail services, thus taking control of the mail service. Manipulating commands such as EXPN or verify privilege, hijacking as the administrator. So they'll gain a full access of the administrator. They can change the mail flows, they can copy the distribution list, they can work on the security settings and things related to the overall functionality of an Exchange server. Third-party mail relay is the most. Corporate emails do not allow third-party mail relaying. Third-party mail relay is using an app on your mobile phone, for example, a third-party app through which you can configure your official email accounts, through which you'll be drafting emails, you'll be connecting it to your mail service, and you'll be able to send and receive emails through that. Now, Internet Message Access Protocol, which is IMAP, email client protocol, which can be used to retrieve email messages from a mail server. The role of an IMAP functions include allowing users to read, edit, reply, and forward or create the mails, creating, deleting, renaming the mailboxes, or checking for new email messages, or deleting the email messages directly from the server. To provide the security of the users, IMAP is designed to be compatible with internet messaging standards. You don't need to work on any specific protocol. It would use the existing protocols, enable the messages access and management from for more than one computer, so you can simultaneously access the same emails, and if you have deleted emails from one computer, they'll be deleted from the server even if you are checking it from another machine. Permit access without depending on less efficient file access protocols, and support the concurrent access to all shared mailboxes. Now the vulnerabilities which are related to IMAP is it's vulnerable to buffer overflow conditions, supports various authentication mechanisms including CRAM MD5, logic flow. For example, CRAM MD5 allows the remote attacker to gain unauthorized access to another user email account remotely. Hackers are able to obtain super user access to the mail server because the server processes runs as a root, so that they can delete the emails, modify, and then create the distribution list for their own accounts. Firewalls or filters routers could protect the server from the basic kind of attacks. Okay, server application vulnerabilities. Some exploits are associated with specific email server applications that you are using on the server itself. For example, Microsoft Exchange Server affects the various versions of Microsoft Exchange Server, which is 2000, Advanced Server, or Data Center Server. These are very old operating systems of Microsoft server operating systems. Nowadays, the latest one which we are using is 2019, which is the latest release of Exchange Server. Vulnerabilities are Microsoft Exchange Server Outlook Web Access Script Injection vulnerability, which was found in 2006. Then Exchange Server Calendar Remote Code Execution vulnerability, again identified in 2006. Microsoft Exchange Server 2003 Information Store Denial of Service vulnerability, identified in 2005. And Microsoft Exchange Server 2003 Outlook Access Random Mailbox vulnerability in 2004. Now there are different kind of email attacks which we'll be covering in our next lecture.